Mm-hmm. And we're live. So we're actually going to give about 30 seconds for people to get over to us from the link from the show. So, while we wait, we can, Emma, sing.
I don't sing unless I have a song.
Oh, okay. Then Emma won't entertain us for 30 seconds. You'll just, if you're here early, you get 30 extra seconds of all of our faces. Don't worry, I'll turn my camera off. Hang on.
Oh.
Okay. Let's see. Comments. Should probably have this open. Okay. Well, hopefully people will join us. So let's start with the basics. Say your name and what you did for the production. I'll start. My name is Beulah Vega, and I'm the producer from Heroines, Harpies, and Harlots. I think I said it right this time because I've said it wrong every interview this week. And I will be mediating the talkback. And Cloverdale Performing Arts Center is our co-producer, which is actually where I'm streaming from at the moment, getting ready for our next show up, which is Fade. And then after Fade, there's propaganda behind me on the wall. It's the poster for the Beard of Avon, which I will also be directing later this year. Anyway, so let's go, Crystal.
I am Crystal Carpenter Wilson, and I directed A Settled Flowing Spring, which Ariel was in.
Ariel?
I'm Ariel Erskine, and I wrote and performed in A Settled Flowing Spring, which Crystal directed.
Yay! And Emma and Jess?
Hi, I'm Jess. I'm Jess Headington, and I directed Barely a Person, which featured Rachel Wynn, choreographer and performer. And this is my daughter, Emma. I don't know what to say. Emma performed in The Graces. And what was your character? I was Mirth, also commonly known as Joy.
Mm-hmm. And what else did you do for it? You didn't just perform. What else?
I wrote poems for the play, which I had Beulah take a look at and see if anything was missing or if something needed to be redone.
That's kind of what happened. Of writing. Yeah. Okay. Let's start with some questions. The one we always get, of course, when we do talkbacks is, how long have you been doing theater? Any of you?
I think my first play was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Mm-hmm. I was a dwarf. And what year was that? I was I think I was in I want to say fourth or third or second. I don't know. So about 3 years or so. Yeah. Cool. And I've been making theater for almost 30 years.
Wow.
Oh, really? Yeah, I don't even know about her anymore. What about Crystal and Ariel?
Yeah.
I think I was 6 maybe when I was in my first play. It was a long time ago.
She's not going to tell us how long ago that was, you notice.
And I was also 6. Nice coincidence. I played the freckle-faced girl in a production of Pinocchio. I was like a member of the audience watching Pinocchio with Stromboli. And that was at Cinnabar Theater many, 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 many years ago. Also.
I do actually know how long ago that was, because you and I graduated from high school the same year from rival high schools.
Oh,
Because you went to
yes.
Petaluma High, yeah?
I did, yes.
Yes. And I went to Tamales. So, anyway.
That's right. You can do the math.
I can do the math. Everybody else is going to have to look it up. They're going to have to like Google us. Okay, so let's move on. So one of the questions we got yesterday was, how was this experience different? First of all, how was it different doing a piece that wasn't a pre-written play? For Ariel and Emma, how was it to act in? How was it to, they're such personal pieces. And then for Crystal and Jess, how was it to direct? Was it different than a normal directing job?
I'll dive in. I've done like spoken word before. So I think initially when I got the idea of, I'm doing a monologue that I'm going to write, I kind of took it from that angle, but this had, just a more theatrical feel to it. And then of course, when we got to like, we're going to film it. And as I started working with Crystal as a director, it really brought out a lot of things that I wouldn't have done on my own, just writing and performing something I'd written. And on the flip side of that, doing theater and like going on stage and doing someone else's work, there's so much more work in like developing the character and in understanding what was written. And here I was taking something I had written about myself and about my experience in my life and trying to do it on stage. And it was just very, very challenging because it's like, it's me. I'm speaking for myself. So the character is me. And it was just a very different experience on an emotional level. And I think, Beulah, when you first saw one of my rehearsals, you had brought up the concern about like, are you going to have kind of the endurance to do this very personal piece? And I was like, yeah, sure. And honestly, that was such a great question because all the way up to the point that I produced it, I was like texting Kristen. I was like, I'm sorry I haven't sent you another rehearsal. I'm just like, emotionally, I'm not there. It was really difficult, but also more cathartic than any piece I've ever done before. And I literally could not have done it without Crystal. She was so supportive and she had such great insight. And I am so glad that I had this opportunity and to do it with so many other amazing people.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you did it. And I'm glad you lied to me about having the emotional strength. So I wasn't like, no, don't do it.
Yeah, it was rough, but worth it.
Crystal, do you want to go next?
I'm so grateful to have been able to work with Ariel on this. I think one of the beautiful things about this whole process was knowing her and having worked with her so closely in the past. That made it easier for me to direct her doing a piece that was about herself because I knew all the things that I wanted to amplify of her, like all of her amazing joy and laughter and finding that like through the hard parts of this intense story coming out the other side and getting to see Ariel as her maiden powerhouse. And I think she really pulled that off. It's so different from directing something that's been written already. And especially since when we started this process, Ariel, you were still not finished writing. And so we were kind of working through the whole writing process as well as the acting throughout, I think, since probably February, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
So it's been, a journey, and it's been such a different experience directing just because it was helping with the writing and helping with the energy and helping her just find herself so beautifully and all of those things just with little bits of guidance. And I'm so happy with the outcome. And I'm so glad that you did take your time when it came to getting to that emotional space and giving yourself that space to really say it and share it. It's, I mean, so much courage goes into that.
Thank you.
Jess, do you want to, or Emma, why don't you go next? How was this for you? Was this weird, different, better, worse?
It was interesting, as I'm so used to having a lot more lines to memorize and a lot more props with no masks at all. So I was mumbled, but we got through it and I'm fine. I made a couple friends too. So, I mean, that's a bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that is so built into the process of making theater that was absent from this experience in some ways, because there was fewer people involved. When you're doing a show with lots of people, cast and crew and staff, you know, you bond and you create these long-lasting friendships and relationships. And here we were working with just 4 people. Mm-hmm. And so it was a really small group. And yet we still managed to create some of those same bonds, but it wasn't the weeks and weeks of spending time together like you normally would in a theater piece. Our piece, Barely a Person, really was much more a film than a piece of theater and a dance film. But I'm personally so ready to leave behind a lot of the plays that we've seen and performed for the many decades. And this pandemic time has actually made that feeling in me even stronger, that I am just ready for the future of what's next and what can be, and what all the things we're learning from making our art through this video medium and dabbling in the film potential for it. It's just excited me more than anything about the possibilities that are out there. And so I'm not mourning the loss of the in-person experience as much as some theater artists are. I know we'll eventually get there. Theater's been around since the Greeks, and how many pandemics have we had, right? We will be back at some point. And it'll be different, perhaps. And we've learned so much through the course of this year that we'll take forward.
Hopefully we'll remember the lessons. So I have a question for you, Jess. You're not normally a dance director though, right?
No, definitely not. And I wouldn't consider myself any kind of an expert on dance. I've studied dance over the years as a teen and in college, but since then, I really haven't done a whole lot with dance. So this was really about helping Rachel shape what she's an expert at. She brought the choreography, and she confessed early on that she hadn't choreographed anything for herself to perform in a really long time. So I was there to help bolster her and to make small suggestions and adjustments and really collaborate with her much more than a director-actor relationship. It was almost like a peer relationship because she doesn't need me to give her notes on the dance. It was more about the staging and the storytelling. That was really where I was able to bring something, is in making sure we were telling the story.
Okay. Let me see. Do we have questions? I know there are people watching because I can see the little icon telling me you're out there. Oh, Emma has a question. Emma?
What's your question?
This is for Beulah and Beulah only. Why are you not answering any of the questions that you ask?
Because I'm the moderator. It's, one of the plus sides of being in charge, so I don't have to answer things.
But you should be a good example.
Have you met me? I'm not good at examples.
I mean, sure.
What did you want to know, Emma, that I didn't answer?
How long have you been doing theater?
My first real show, I was 7 years old, and I played Cobweb. Ironically, the very last time I was on stage, I played Cobweb, but I wasn't 7. I was 29.
So you found your role.
Cool.
Okay,
Apparently.
and what was different this time because of the pandemic? What was different for you?
The ticketing process.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding. It's a very different. This is the third Zoom type festival I've been a part of since the pandemic. So this is actually something I've had a lot of practice at by the time we got to our show. But this is the first time that I was in the producer role and not a co-producer and not just a director. So the major difference has been the technology, dealing with all the last minute technology things, which is not, when you do a live show, you also deal with last minute technology, but you usually have a week to deal with it and not an hour. And the other big difference is that with a live show as a producer, I did go to everybody's rehearsals at least once. I popped in at least once to everything. And, but as in a live show, I would have done that more than once, and I would have seen the full festival earlier. I didn't see the full festival for this until Tuesday morning, which as a producer is a little nerve-wracking. But, I mean, the other thing too, though, is that as opposed to normal festivals where you put out a big open call and have all these other people come in and you're auditioning and you're doing all that kind of thing, because I knew that the pandemic was going to shape this festival so much, I reached out to people I knew and trusted so that I didn't have to worry as much about the unknown, because I knew that all of these people are going to bring me quality quality shows. And they did. So did I answer your question, Emma?
Yeah.
Let's see. Rusty says that I already asked the question he was going to ask, so I have no idea what that was going to be.
Good job, Rusty.
Any other questions, comments? Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about? Do you want to ask anybody else anything?
What is your favorite Lego?
Not about the show.
I don't care.
I want to say thank you for the opportunity. It was just such an honor to be included in this festival. And I'm so grateful that both my daughter and I were able to work on the same piece of theater in different ways. And to be able to be here together on Mother's Day to talk about it is really special.
Yeah, I'm really glad that I actually got the two of you on Mother's Day. Oh, there's a question for Emma. How was the process of writing your own work? And is there a difference between you versus the character you played, or were you basically just playing yourself on stage?
I'm a very joyful person, so I kind of had to emphasize my happiness with the character that I played, but mainly I was just myself. Just a normal, happy self.
I got to be involved in some of the poetry writing with her, which was really a fun process to help with some revisions and kind of helping with ideas to get the creative juices flowing. And what we found that was really helpful was to put things that are very personal into the third person. So it's easy to talk about the flower and how she feels. It's a little bit safer than saying I. And not to say that we all might not get there at some point in the future. But Emma's finding her voice as a poet, and I think it's okay to come around from the side if you need to sometimes.
She actually had to motivate me like 95% of the time. Because I did not want to do it.
Sometimes it's hard to get started, right?
It's
for
always
sure.
hard to get
Oh my
started.
God.
Has poet's blood, so that helped a lot.
Like you have poet's blood in a vial, like in your bedroom type of thing?
I don't think so.
No, but Grandpa David.
Oh, yes. We have writers in our family, including Grandpa David, my dad, who loves poetry and taught poetry and writing for years.
He was also a teacher, so he did really good coaching.
Yeah. Helps to have it in the family.
It's true. Actually, that's a good question to ask Ariel as well. How long have you been writing?
Oh God. I fashioned myself a writer when I was much younger, and I wrote the first 1 or 2 chapters of many, many books. I don't think I really found. Well, and then I was in and out of bands, and I used to do a lot of the lyrics and whatnot. And then a few years ago, I really fell in love with doing spoken word and just that whole community and just the power and the voices and the diversity and and bringing a voice to people who are otherwise unheard or viewpoints that are unheard. And so I really was kind of diving into that and just starting to kind of perform. And then the pandemic hit. So, it kind of made it hard to go and continue that kind of work since, you're doing it in like small in house shows and coffee shops and spaces like that. And and again, so this was like the perfect opportunity to have a voice again. So this wasn't a direct answer, but so like for decades, I've been trying different mediums, and I think poetry and spoken word is kind of like where I feel the most comfortable. And I've also had a children's book that I wrote. It's like a whole long story because like half the people I know have read it, but I've yet to publish it. It's a whole thing. So it ended up being a little too personal. So I'm still working on publishing it now that I'm a little less emotionally attached to it. But yes.
Let's see. We have a comment. Can you guys see the comments? Can you see the chat?
I can't. No.
Okay. Then I'll just read the comment. I only asked because Natalie was able to see the comments yesterday, and I'm not really sure how she did that. But knowing Natalie, she probably just hacked into it because she's brilliant like that. So Nancy Short says that she just wants to say how impressive this was and the perseverance you all demonstrated to make theater during these unusual times. And it's a special joy to see the work of both our daughter and granddaughter performing in the same presentation on Mother's Day, no less. So,
Nancy.
So, yeah, we got a lot of really good reactions in the chat yesterday as well. Barely a Person got a lot of reactions. Rachel posted some of them on her Facebook page and on the Expedance page. Expedance? I always say it wrong. Expandance, yeah.
Actually, can I share just really briefly about Expandance?
Yeah,
For those that don't know what it is, Rachel and a woman named Lori founded Expandance when, I don't know how many years ago, but they got some funding when, because Rachel's Irish, and in Europe, you can get funding to make art from the government. Wouldn't that be awesome to do here? So they got some funding to do research and development to create this whole process of using movement in this mindfulness and meditation and healing way. And it's really grown over the years. And so now their classes are offered here in Sonoma County through St. Joseph Health. They work with patients who are healing from cancer. They work with all kinds of different people around the world through streaming their classes. And Expand Dance is rooted in improvisation. So she used the Expand Dance model to create Barely a Person, which meant that there had to be some improvisation the day that we filmed, but also that the entire thing was built out of this improvisational movement. So it's a really cool thing. You can check out their website. I highly recommend looking that up if you liked the piece.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing that Rachel has on her website on Expand Dance is links to postpartum support. So if that's something you or somebody you know is struggling with. So actually, before we close up, because we're coming up against time and we all have children. Well, Emma doesn't, but she has a Jessica, so you know.
Yeah.
He has Legos to go play with.
She has Legos to go play with.
I have a rare Pegasus horse.
Oh.
And I want to play with it because I haven't played with it.
We'll let Beulah finish up.
So one of the things, if you did not go and get food or right out of the room during intermission, you'll notice that during our intermission stream, there were links to a lot of different nonprofits. And I just wanted to make sure that people knew that one of the things coming out of this festival that I really wanted, as Ariel already said, was to give people who don't only get a chance to speak and to shine a light on things that people generally don't want to talk about. And not in the look at this terrible thing way, but in the look, there are others like you. There are others like me. We are all, we all struggle with something. We all have things that we could use support on. So if any of the pieces moved you or any of the pieces resonated and you're like, wow, how do I find out more about that information? You can absolutely leave us a message on our Facebook page and we can send you to resources. We have lots of them. So I think that was it. Do you guys have any last minute questions, comments, statements for the good of the cause?
Just gratitude for you producing this and giving us this opportunity. And just how happy I am to see all of these beautiful people that I adore and be able to create art with them.
Likewise.
Same.
I'm grateful that Beulah made and took time out of her day to make 3 togas. And I really like it because I love the little buttons. So
in case you can't see the buttons in the video because the video is kind of far away, the buttons are actually maiden heads. They're Greek maiden heads with flowing hair.
Love it.
So
the hair goes in a circle.
It's the button.
Yeah.
So.
Producer and costumer.
Yeah, Emma's toga had a snack pocket. It was a specially made toga. So
I love snacks, so that's good.
Okay, well, we're going to wrap this up if there are no more questions. And I think that's it. Okay, thank you guys so much for being here. And thanks everybody who watched. And we will see you again next Saturday, not you 3, 4. Who will we have next Saturday? We have YDU, the cast of YDU will be here. So, okay, thanks. Bye.
Cheers.